Hey guys, Charlie from ATS Safety, and today we're bringing you a video on all things excavator. So our first thing in bringing our trailer into the yard is we found a nice, level, stable spot to set the trailer down on. Once we found that spot, we removed the neck and pulled the tractor far enough away to give us ample room to fit the excavator in on the front of the trailer. Next, I want to come back and lower my trailer's airbags so that it makes the trailer nice and stable while I drive the excavator on. This RGN has the airbag controls on the driver's side of the trailer. A lot of the older RGNs are going to have the airbag controls across the back. On this trailer, it's got two valves. The left valve is going to control the auto to manual setting, and the right valve is going to control the raising and lowering. So now I'm going to put the trailer into the manual mode and also pushing the height control in to lower. Now that our trailer is set up and ready, we're going to go over to our equipment and do our inspection. Completing an inspection on your equipment before loading is very important. We want to identify any pre-existing damage on that machine, properly noted on our bill of lading, and take pictures. As most of the equipment you guys are transporting is brand new, we want to take that proper walk around looking for any pre-existing damage. We want to look at the windows, make sure they're all intact, that they're not chipped, cracked, or broken. We're also going to keep an eye on all of the paint and any panels as we walk around the machine, again looking for any damage. We also want to check any doors and panels and make sure that they're locked and closed. Two areas that we want to pay particular attention to: the underside of the boom, making sure there's no pre-existing damages there. Also, the hydraulic cylinders on the top, making sure that the paint is also intact there. So overall, this machine looks really good. It's brand new. I don't see any pre-existing damage. So now I'm ready to start it up and get ready to load. As we get into our equipment, we want to make sure we're using our proper 3 points of contact. So in this case, I'm going to use the two hand holds and use the step and then the track as my feet holds. All right, so now that we're in the seat, I'd say first things first is always putting your seatbelt on. A lot of times, a lot of the machine functions are tied to whether the seat belt is on or off, so we're going to put that on right away. Now this excavator has a on-off switch or a battery cutoff switch, so we're going to flip that to the on position. That will get us power to the machine, and then the start button for this machine is right in the center. We're going to click OK on our screen, and that's going to get it warmed up. A couple of other functions that are notable. This machine has a dial on the right-hand side here that's going to control your idle speed. So you can turn that up and down. Right now we're going to keep it at the lowest setting because we want the machine to move slowly. Another joystick back here is this one that controls the blade on this machine. So moving that around will also raise and lower your blade. Before a lot of the functions will work also on an excavator, you have to put down the hydraulic cutoff. That's over on the door side of the seat, and then we should be able to move our hydraulics, in this case for the blade, up and down. And then we have our joysticks. The joysticks move both forward, backwards, right, and left. The right side is going to control the boom raising and lowering. So if I pull the joystick back, the boom will raise. If I push the joystick forward, it will lower down. If I move it to the right for out, in for left. The joystick on the left is going to control the shorter stick. So if we go out, boom moves out with the bucket, in moves it in with the bucket. So you have your bucket control on the right and the second boom control on the left. Now if I move the left joystick right or left, that's going to swing the cab right or left. Move it to the right to go right, move it to the left to go left. So again, I'm doing this all basically at idle speed, getting familiar with all the functions before any kind of movement. To actually move the excavator, we've got the two joysticks in front of us here, which are also then tied to the two foot pedals. Depending on which way the cab is facing, sometimes forward is forward, sometimes forward is backwards. So in this case, forward is forward, and pulling it towards me is backwards. Now if I swing the cab around 180 degrees, everything turns in reverse. Move it just a little bit before you start to go, and then you figure out which direction does which and get yourself over to the trailer. Always make sure your boom is off the ground a sufficient distance so that you can swing without it hitting the ground and making sure that your T-blade is picked up when you're moving the excavator. As we prepare to load the machine, one thing we do want to note is how wide the machine is. If it's 8'6" wide, it's going to basically match up parallel with each side of your trailer. If it's oversized, you're going to have some overhang on each side. So we want to center our load to the trailer as we load it. An important time that I want to look at is when the machine starts to break over and tip from being at the angle to being flat on the trailer, because that's going to tell me where my center of gravity of this machine is. When I establish that center of gravity, I can match that up to the weight center on my trailer, and then I'm going to get about 50-50 distribution of my load on the trailer and the truck. What I did is I moved my head to look and match a line with the edge of my track with one of the lines on the trailer. And then I just kept my head in the same spot and followed that machine right up and on the trailer. And that's going to keep that machine walking straight on the trailer to your desired location. Second thing is I keep the RPMs low. I don't want the RPMs ramped up real high in this case. I'm going to operate the machine very slowly. Once I've established the proper location on the trailer, I need to tuck the boom down. Leaving the boom up too far creates excess height and potentially can cause a bridge hit. So when I start to curl the boom in, I want to start with the bucket, moving it in till it reaches the stop and on the curl. Second, curling in the second boom, curling that in until it hits the stop, making sure that nothing is contacting each other, and then loading the final boom all the way down until I make contact with the board sitting on the trailer. Also, when loading and unloading, we always want to make sure we drive the machine on from the end of the trailer. Never side loading or offloading on these RGN trailers. I also want to make sure that my boom is always pointed towards the back and lowered down as much as I can get it. All right, so now that we got our machine positioned on the trailer, we're going to start securing. Right away, we got to recognize that this is a piece of heavy equipment. Remember the 3 T's. If it's on tires or tracks and it weighs more than 10,000 pounds, it automatically needs at least 4 securements. This also has a boom, so we're going to have at least 1 securement for that. The bill of lading is showing this machine closer to 36,000 pounds. So it's going to need more than just the 4 3/8. 4 3/8 chains carries me to 26,400 pounds. In this case, this machine is above that. So I'm going to have at least 2 more chains on top of that, with 6 chains total and something for the boom. I want to identify where the securement points are on these machines. Now, depending on the brand and the model, sometimes they do vary. But a lot of times excavators are going to have their securement points in the middle between the tracks, and this one has that, so we're going to use those. We want to look around for these stickers. These stickers are going to tell us where the securement points are. So in this case, we've got 2 in this end, and we're going to use that. This excavator also has some securement holes up in the center that we could additionally use if we need. So on this end of the machine, I plan to do an X or a cross chain. And I want to identify the D-rings that are on the RGN. The D-rings are my main points of contact for a securement device. I can also use these cutouts here just a little bit behind that. So we'll probably end up using both of those. But right now I'm going to use this D-ring as my primary point. All right, so 1 chain down. Now I'm gonna do the same thing going the opposite way. When I'm considering securement points on the side of the trailer, especially with RGNs, I don't wanna use the outriggers as a securement point. The outrigger is not meant as a securement point. It's simply meant to help make your trailer wider if that's what's needed. So we're gonna skip those today. All right, so we've got the 2 cross chains done on this end. Probably go to the other end now, do the X chains over there, and then come back and see where we're gonna add those 2 additional chains. Again, depending on the model of the excavator, you may wanna do additionals on the end. Sometimes you can do them on the sides or in the middle of the track. Sometimes they have securement points there also. So now we've got the 4 chains on, 2 at the back, 2 at the front. That checks us off as far as the heavy equipment is concerned. But we still have to do more because of the weight of this machine. So when we're gonna add the last 2 chains onto this, pulling rearward in this case, I wanna use these securement points, but if we notice the hook, even on a 5/16 chain, is too big to fit through. One option would be to take the hook off the chain, run the chain through and put the hook back on, or this is a good opportunity to use a shackle. So shackles get added to the cargo, and then we can connect our chain to that shackle. And our last step for securement on this excavator is going to be throwing a strap for the boom. Typically I want to locate this strap as low as possible Don't go up over the top. There's no benefit to doing that. Plus there's hydraulic lines up there. We're gonna stay low on the boom, just going across the trailer from one side to the other. So we just completed our strap running through the boom. Now this boom was kind of nice because it actually has a little securement point at the bottom, so we used that. We could have cut through here also, using some padding underneath that strap just to protect the machine against any damage. The boom is secured separately in order to complete the heavy equipment requirements. The heavy equipments require that any hydraulic accessory be lowered and secured. So in this case, having the boom here, we want to lower it down basically to the trailer, putting some board in between first, and then securing it to the trailer. All right, so on this end of the machine, we also have a blade. Technically, it moves on hydraulics. So again, we lowered it against the board from before, and we did add 2-inch strap over the top. So just to recap on our securement of this machine, we've got 2 3/8 chains on each end to make 4, and then we've got 2 5/16 also in the back, pulling back. That makes 6. Additionally, we've got a strap over each blade. The 6 chains and the 2 straps totaled up covers for the weight of the machine. So if we were to get stopped at a scale or anything, we would not get a violation. So now that we're all secured, our truck is attached, aired up, our trailer's aired up, everything's effectively ready to go, we're gonna grab our height and make sure and confirm that we're legal height before we go. So with our height stick, again, first step is always loosening this wing nut up, bringing our arm up to 90 degrees, and that's gonna allow us to reach in to the boom and grab a correct measurement. Then we basically just take from the center, raising up and locking in as we go. So what I'm finding out, and this is a good problem to show, is that the height stick doesn't reach the boom. The boom is a little bit offset. So we're gonna go to the other side and grab our measurement. An important piece of grabbing an accurate reading is we want to be vertical with the height stick. So in this case, I'm using the tracks as a guide to vertical. I start with the height stick higher than the freight, gently lowering it down, swinging it back and forth just a little bit until I find something or hit something, which is my highest point. So I would read this now as 12 feet, 4 inches and a little bit of change. So my final answer would be 12 feet, 5 inches. To further confirm my answer of 12.5, I'm gonna move down and measure the boom in multiple locations, seeing if anything is taller than that 12.5 measurement. So it's right about the same there, 12.4.5. Certainly on this end, it's a lot lower. So confirming at least in a couple different areas here. Yep, looks like right at 12.5. So I'm comfortable with 12.5. That's well below legal height. Another dimension that I want to confirm before travel is my overall width. So in this case, I'm measuring track edge to track edge as that's my widest point. So this is showing basically 105 and 105.5 inches. So I'm going to round that to 106 inches wide, which is going to be 8'10". So this would be an oversized load. I want to have then about 2 inches of track off the trailer on each side, add my flags and banners, wait for my permits, and then we're going. Another good thing to check before you hit the road is making sure that all the doors and panels are shut and closed properly. So in this case, you can see we still have our door open. We're going to close that up, make sure it gets fully latched and locked. Another thing that we just noticed here is watch for any mirrors that are sticking out. In this case, this mirror is sideways, so we're just gonna fold it so that it goes with the trailer, lessening the chance of any damage, also decreasing the width of the vehicle. All right guys, so that completes our video on excavators. Hopefully today's video brought you a little bit of clarity on how to operate excavators, how to load them on and off trailers, how to secure, and most importantly, how to measure for height. Having safe and legal height on an excavator is critical. If you have any additional questions, reach out to your DM or the cargo securement team. Thank you for watching. Merry Christmas. Happy 4th of Halloween. Merry 4th of Halloween. That's what it is.